Hey folks, Ernie here with Wicked Awesome Gifts and running a batch of beanies. And for this batch, I decided to go ahead and pretend that I don't have the big flat press and pretend that I don't have the xTool 12-inch press and pretend like all I have is the xTool mini press. So the reason I want to do this is to try to include everybody, right? Not everybody has all the stuff and things. So this way we can try to be inclusive of people that may only have one or two things. Now this is the xTool mini press that I'm using, and it is more than capable of handling this job. So far I've done 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, almost 30 of them. And I got 120 total in this job. So let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So yeah, so I've done 30 and it took me about 40 minutes. So is it the fastest way to do it? No. Can it be done? Yes. Well, I'll show you. I'll do my best because you're on the stand so I can point you down and look, but ideally, in a perfect world, you'd want to be back here looking down, right, to see everything that's going on. So I'll do my best to show you so you can see everything. But this is the xTool mini press, and it sits inside this little deal so you don't get all burn up or burn anything else up. It's shaped like a teardrop. I've done some other videos with this one before, so I'm not really giving a review per se on this device, but I do wish that it wasn't teardrop shaped. That's my only complaint about it. I wish it was either square or oval or something, because sometimes with some patches that I want to use this on, you know, I can't. But since we're doing circle patches today, I'm not going to put it all the way on there, but as you can see, it'll cover it perfectly. If I get right up on there, while it was cold, I tested and I stuck it on there, and it's 350 degrees. I ain't touching it, sorry. So, but it covers it. I don't have to move it around is the point, right? So these I think are 55 or 60 millimeter patches, one or two. I can't remember which. I'd have to measure it. And I'm not going over there to get the measure thing. So how this works is there's a little dongle in here, USB type of dongle thing that you stick in there, and it Bluetooths to this little control deal where you set your time and your temperature. I have it set, I'm using the Wicked Awesome adhesive on these, so those of you that are familiar, it's 350 degrees for 30 seconds. 350 degrees is the temperature it needs to reach in order to reach the chemical activation point of the glue, and that's what gives you your permanent bond. That's straight from the manufacturer. That's not from me. So the chemists that make it told me to do it, and that's what we do. If you find that your patches either on hats or beanies or whatever, bathrobes, I gotta do a bathrobe later, maybe I'll video that. But if you find that your patch isn't quite sticking or it's getting too hot or whatever, don't ever adjust the temperature. Always adjust the time. Either do it longer or less time. So there you go. That's all we'll talk about the adhesive today. I have a piece of wood. This is what I stick inside my beanies. I have a piece of my rubber or silicone mat. It came in big pieces, and I have 2 big pieces that I use when I'm doing hats or using the flat press. This one I cut up specifically for doing small things with the little press, so I don't have to do that. Now, one of the advantages we have of doing the beanies this way is that, let me grab one that I've already done that I know it's nice and cold. So one of the advantages of doing this when we're using a flat press, okay, now imagine we're, you know, inside out and we got our piece of wood in there, all right, and we bring down the flat press. We're heating up the entire surface area. So there's a chance for scarring the material, right? And that's the biggest complaint we see all over these forums and discussion groups is people, especially with beanies, because they're so used to doing hats where you put a lot of pressure on it. And beanies, you don't want pressure. So anyway, we're heating all this stuff up, and there's tricks to do it. You put the wood in there so that it hangs off the edge, so we're not heating up this part. And there's all kinds of little tips and tricks for beanies, and I've got some of them on my other videos. But the benefit of using this little tiny press is that we're only pressing, here I'll turn it sideways and use this. When we're pressing, we're only gonna put heat over that much of the beanie, right? So now we don't even have to worry about scarring anything anywhere except for around here. And honestly, I did a couple where I pushed really hard, and if it did kind of put a little mark around the edge, I would just do like this with my finger and it come right out. So, but these are nice thick cuff beanies. It would be different if they were the thin stuff, but since they're thick, they can tolerate a little more. But we'll show you here in a minute. Now, some people might sit there and be saying, well, how do you judge the pressure? Simple. Don't put a lot of pressure. Sorry, that's it. You don't. I did do one where I tried just gravity pressure, right? And I put the thing on it and I just let go and let gravity hold it on there. That didn't work. It came right off. So you got to put a little bit, and I'll show you that when I'm doing a press. Can I tell you how much foot-pounds of pressure I'm putting on there? No, but I can tell you I'm not putting very much at all. I'm just holding it down. Sometimes I'll find myself pushing on it, and I remind myself, oh shit, I don't have to do that, and I'll let go a little bit. But for the most part, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. And this is one of the ones that I did earlier, and this is for customers' orders. I'm not going to screw it up, but as you can see, it's on there. Pick at it. No, there you are. It's not coming off. It's on there. It's good and cemented on. That thing ain't coming off, right? So you can get excellent adhesion, especially with this wicked awesome adhesive. It's great. Do like that. Now that it's cold, I can screw around with it and look. And just so you know what I'm looking for when I'm testing the beanie, and I pull on it, I'm watching to see if it's pulling the fibers out. If it starts to pull the fibers out and not release, then I leave it alone. Then I know it's good. I've already done the standard pull test and all that shit that we all do when we first start doing hats and beanies. So I know if I take this and try to rip it off, it's not coming off. It's just gonna tear the hell out of the beanie. So those ones I've done already. We're good. I only got 2 or 3 more of this round, and then across my table I'll set up another 40 and do that 3 times, and I got my 120, right? So it's going to take me it took me 40 minutes or 45 minutes to do 40 of them, about 50 minutes. So I'm just going to round up just because sometimes I might stop and check the phone or do something. I don't know. So I find it very hard to be repetitious in some of these jobs where I just sit here and actually do the job over and over and over again and not get up and do other shit. So we'll call it an hour. So in my world, if I do 40 beanies in an hour with this little press, I'm happy. And so doing 120 of them, it's going to take me about 3 hours to do the job. All right. The hard part's forcing myself to sit here for 3 hours and do the job. But remember what I always say, we do the boring stuff to help us pay to do the fun stuff, right? So that's what we do. And these look sharp, so customers really gonna like these. So I'm happy when they come out looking nice. So without further ado, let's spin you around that way. Let's try this, see if this is gonna get us a good enough view. Oh, it's gonna turn off because I'm running my mouth too much. Let's see if this is gonna be good enough for you guys to get a handle on what I'm doing. Shit. All right. We'll call it right there. That should work. Okay. Yeah, it just turned off on me. Oh, the battery's dying. I gotta go charge this thing too. Let's turn it back on. I'll have to bring over a charger and charge that. See? More reasons not to do the job. So anyway, what I've done here, as you can see, they're all lined out. Honestly, I spend more time prepping for the job than I do doing the job. I get them all lined out in stacks of 5, inside out, and ready to go. If you've never done a beanie before and you're here, somehow you found my thing and you're trying to learn how to do one, basically, this is how I do it. There's a million ways to do it, but this is how I do it. I get my big seam. That's what I call the back. So, you know, if you put your patch on it, that's how it goes, right? So we take this part and we grab it, grab that, pull it inside out. So now the back is back there and we're dealing with this. As you look at it, you might think, oh, it's upside down, but it's not. Because when you pull it back right side in, or whatever you call it, boom, that's still our top, right? Okay, so pull her inside out, leave the cuff facing you. Now you don't have to dick around. I've seen some other videos where people got shit turned upside down and sideways, and to me, that's stupid. So we take our piece of wood. I think this is 205 millimeters across. It's the amount of stretch that I like to have in the beanie. It will also vary amongst different brands of beanies, but again, this is what I like. This is what I do. It gives it this much stretch. I don't like to overstretch it because then your beanie looks stupid when it's sitting still, right? When it's relaxed. If you overstretch it, put the beanie on, then it relaxes, it looks dumb. So this is how I like it. I like to put my piece of wood right at the seam here so that it falls off the edge. That way you don't have to worry about, especially when you're using a big flat press, you don't have to worry about pressing over this seam and then getting none of this because the thickness of the board, I use a 6 millimeter. It usually keeps it where this part laying flat doesn't even ever touch the heat anyway. And in some situations, depending on what kind of press I'm on, in this case the table, I just hang that over the edge. So if this was on a big press, this would be hanging over the edge. On this table you're about to see in a minute, it's going to hang over the edge. So we put that down like that, and I get it there. And as you see, let's bring it a little closer. Black on black pants. That ain't really showing you much, but we're hanging over the edge. I kind of smooth it like this a little bit just to get it somewhat straight and spread out like I like it. And I take a patch, throw it in the middle. I kind of eyeball it, but I'll count. Since these are the really thick ridges, I just put a finger on each side and go in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and right there. So right around 10 or 11 is usually where I'm at. So then I'll take it and eyeball the top to bottom. So there you go. Then I'll take my little deal here, put it right over the top. Since this is going to cover all of the patch, I don't worry about the top as much, just right here. I put that right there, and I hit my button. That's going to count down the timer for me. While it's doing that, I'll lift up the sides just to make sure that I can't see the patch. Sometimes I don't always get it, and if I can see the patch when I lift it up, then I'll move it over and compensate. So right now I'm right in the middle. It's hard to tell you how much pressure I'm putting on there, but I mean, it's not much. I'm just kind of holding it on. And sometimes I'll do 2 fingers here and 2 here. That way I'm getting, in my mind, I'm getting adequate pressure amongst all the corners. Again, not holding it very tight at all. Not much pressure at all, just a little bit. You see we beeped, so we move that out of the way, get that out of the way. Before I even move it, I will take it up and look at it like this. And when I do that, if the camera's gonna focus, what I'm looking for is that it's all smushed. If you don't really get a good press in there, sometimes it'll be lifted up and you can see the full thickness of the leatherette. So I don't want to see the full thickness of the leatherette. So in this one, you can't. So the camera's doing pretty decent, I think, of showing that or illustrating that. You can't really see it. If I had a piece of leatherette sitting on there and not pressed, see, you can see the thickness. On the one I just pressed, you cannot. So that means she's pressed in there good. And if you look at the edges around it, there's no scarring, nothing. Obviously, again, since we used a little press, this never even came in contact with heat whatsoever. Only right here did. Only right here got some heat. You didn't really get any past the patch because the base of that is right around 60 millimeters. So it barely heats on the edges or over the edges. So the only part you have to worry about scarring is under here and up here. And if you do, just rub your finger on it a little bit, and believe it or not, that will poof it back out. As far as the patch, I don't touch it, I don't screw with it, I don't pick at it. I just pull the board out and I throw it in the stack over there with all the rest of them. Yeah, over there. So, and there they sit while I finish doing the rest. I'll let them all sit there until I'm done, and then I'll go and package them up. Now, since I only have 2 more to do for this stack, I'll probably go take a leak, get some more to drink, get out of the chair, stand up for a minute, stop spinning the camera the wrong way, and I'll go do something. So that's that way it can cool, because I don't want to dick with it. Why is this thing not? This camera is so stupid. It doesn't want to go this way. Yeah, whatever. Now we're tilted. Who cares? All right, so actually I care. That bugs the shit out of me. Why does it do that? All right. Whatever, we're done. So there you go. That's how I do these. Now again, if all you have is like a Cricut press, this will work for that. In this one, I'm using the xTool one that they sent me last year. Came with the M1 Ultra when I got that whole deal, but it's great. I like it. It comes in handy for a lot of little things. Imagine you're going to a craft show. You don't want to bring the big ass press, right? You can bring this. So you bring some pre-cut patches to your show, and you bring some beanies, and I don't know if it could be done with hats, but given hats have the curvature, I don't know. I mean, if your patch fits in there within that plate, and you don't really want to move that thing around like an iron. I've done it. I've done some bigger patches. It can be done, but I did it on beanies. I didn't do it on hats. So, I mean, look at this one. Look at that hair. But if I try to do that, with that iron, I'm going to push it here, push it here, push it here. So it's not ideal for hats at all. Now, if you were just doing a circle over there, then yeah, you could do it. But again, you're going to have to deal with the curvature this way. So you're a grown up. You do what you want. My opinion, I wouldn't do it on hats, but it's good for beanies. It's good for bags, canvas bags. It's good for backpacks. It's good for jackets. It's good for vests if you have biker vests, all that kind of stuff. So it can be used at a craft show. So I've taken mine to some shows where I might have had to do some patches instead of bringing. I lug enough equipment out there. I don't want to bring the big, the big press. So there you go. If all you have is this, or you have nothing, and maybe you can't afford to get started with a big ass press, right? Get you one of these little guys and start out inexpensively. And then as you start making some money, you can buy the bigger equipment. So you don't have to start out with the big fancy equipment. Nothing wrong with this. I'm about to do a 120 hat job. So, I mean, I sell these for 20 bucks a piece. So it's pretty good money. We're sitting there for 3 hours making patches. Well, I already did the patches, but these didn't take very long either. So, all right, that's it. That's how I do beanies with the xTool little mini press. So, y'all take it easy. Bye.